Guys, the Samsung S25 Ultra is finally out, and I finally decided to upgrade from S23 Ultra. Now, as you guys may know, I have designed this S25 Ultra case. I actually had originally designed it for S23 Ultra. Now, this iteration is very, very similar. It's almost exact, just a few changes. For example, the buttons, the camera locations, and the front bumper is actually a bit more durable. If you like the cyberpunk look that has got many utilities, for example, I film a lot, I vlog a lot, I record a lot, so this needs to be perfect for filming. So let's just break down a few things that it does. So you can put it on the side, on the, oh yeah, we've got a card holder, so at the moment I have it actually pried out, ready for removal. So yeah, that's one of the features, but let's put it back in. So you can put it on the front, not front, bottom, side. Can't put it, I don't think you can put it on the top. I don't think you need to put it on the top, no. Just side, other side, and bottom. And if you're also viewing media, you can actually put it at an angle. And I also use this for carrying, because like, you know, there's a lot of phone snitches in London apparently. That's not the biggest reason why I put the ring in, but I just love carrying like that. It just makes it feel like it's more durable and you're not gonna drop it, so I love that. So yeah, the credit card holder is here. Even though I moved on to Google Wallet now, it's still, I'm still gonna retain it here. So yeah, that's gonna be here, and that is gonna be held in place with friction. There's a little bump. This was the previous one that I used for S23 Ultra. There's a little bump here that's like that holds the card in place with friction. So it's not like the same level throughout the whole thing. Okay, the biggest change that I did make for the case is the buttons. I hated the buttons that I used before. So look at them before. This was the S23 Ultra buttons that we used. And they are very, very tiny. And this was printed in resin. Obviously, you guys don't need to print it in resin, but I decided to try in ABS-like resin because I felt like the ABS-like resin on my resin printers, they felt very durable, but turns out no, the PETG version of these same buttons was actually much more durable, but this was just a nightmare just to align and glue, and eventually they snapped off anyway. So before, you had to stick in 3 individual buttons and glue them in place. So I'm not doing that anymore. This is what I'm doing now. Just one big button with 3 little notches like that, you see? And I've got a few more bumpers that I'm going to show you how to actually glue it in. There's going to be an option, and this time I'm actually including 2 other things besides the phone case. I'm also including this tripod 3D printing files, which I use for filming, which is amazing. So it's got, you can add more arms if you want. You can tilt it however you want, and you see it's got 4 joints at this side and 3 joints at the bottom, and they alternate, of course. And it's got pivot, tilt, then no, it doesn't have pivot. Well, you can pivot with the mount itself, I suppose, but this is very, very useful for filming, so I use this. So let's back up a bit. What we've got going on, we've got the phone case itself, and that is held in place with these hex screws. There's 2 different lengths, so we've got the long length here, 4, and 2 lengths here. Now we've got a long one here and a short one here, so there's 6 screws in total, 6 bolts, but 2 different lengths. We've got one here and one here, and I think they're all M3. I think they're all M3. We've got that. This is longer than the screen itself, so you can put it down and it's going to be protected. The ring acts as a phone stand. You can do it at 2 different positions. You can watch things like that at an angle, and you can hold it whilst walking, which is amazing. And I've got this little steel bit here, which you don't have to have as steel, you can just print it yourself. And you see I've got these steel rings, steel plates here as well. There's a big circle here. That is because there's a magnet on this side, and then I put I think around 4 different steel circles to prevent the magnet from interfering with the S Pen. So we've got loads of cutouts. We'll cut out for the S Pen, for the speaker, USB, a cutout for the buttons, of course, and the buttons are so much better now. However, the distancing, I'm going to have a few different button print models because I like to space them evenly. between one another, but I think I'm going to revise that because I think there's actually a very good reason why Samsung designed the buttons the way they do. So they have one big one, which is the volume, and then one small one for the hold button, the hold unlock button. But I think actually that's a very, very good idea the way Samsung done it, because you want to be able to recognize what buttons do what without seeing them. So if you feel a big button, you know it's going to be volume, and then if you feel a small one, you know it's going to be hold. So I think my logic is flawed, so I'm going to redo this. Look at the cameras, they look amazing with the cutout I made as well. And you see we've got little holes here. That is just a mostly design choice. And we've got holes here. They also can act as a form of ventilation, but I have another layer below where the card is to prevent scratches on the phone from occurring. Because if we didn't have a barrier here, the card might eventually scratch the phone, which we don't want. And I'm going to include one more thing at the end, you guys will see, and it's the same mounting system that is going to be used here, which I also use when I cycle. So this, my phone also mounts to my bicycle, and I find it super useful because it never comes off. I had many mounting systems for my phones, and previous ones fell off and broke my phone, but this system, since it's got a magnet in here and a magnet in here. By the way, excuse the water, I just washed it because it's a bit filthy, because I've been using this non-stop. I use this all the time for filming. This mounting system with the magnet is just very, very durable for me, and it works very well. So I got one installed on my bike system as well, so I can cycle with it securely and safely. So this is the S25 Ultra. Oh, I just love it. I had to buy this because the difference between from S23, I hate the curved screen. That curved screen was a gimmick, and it caused reflections on the edges. Because I use my phone for media all the time. I'm a photographer, I film, and if I need to show the people media, they are gonna have light reflecting. It's a nightmare. But yeah, look how good the phone looks. Oh guys, you've seen the phone. It doesn't matter why am I showing this. Anyway, so yeah, let's check out the buttons. At the moment, I have mine printed in TPU, and just for experimental sake, I'm going to show you how to glue them in place, and I'm going to give you some notes, guys, if you need to print it in TPU, or if you can print it all in one same material. So just to summarize, all of these pieces are PETG, and including this button, but the one I've been using for the past week, I printed this in TPU, and the one in TPU works amazing, but I want to try the PETG version. So yeah, that's what we currently have at the moment, and that's working very well. But let's try the PETG. Let me just show you two ways of processing it. One is the normal way, I suppose, which you could use a pair of nail scissors, because I don't use any supports. So you can see here we have a bit of hang from the bridging. Now you can either just like get a nail scissors and just cut it and just scrape it out. Yeah, just scrape it out. And do that for all the holes, which works fine. Yeah, that's one hole pretty much done, and you don't need any supports really. Just I think supports would make it a bit more annoying to post-process. If you do have any flyaway stringing, if your filament is not fully dry, then you do use a lighter and just quickly run it for like a split second, not long. And I do recommend PETG because you're going to have your phone case everywhere with you, and if you've got sunlight, you don't want it to melt with PLA. PLA will melt or warp. So that should get rid of any stray strands. So we're gonna glue this in position. You can see there's a little bevel here so that the buttons are lined perfectly. And then we're gonna just super glue it in place. If it doesn't fit perfectly, just trim off one of the ends slightly. You can just use the nail scissors, just like by 0.5 millimeter. If you've got the flow rate too high. So there we go, you can see we've got it aligned like that. Actually, before we move on to the super glue, I'm going to show you how I process them my favorite way, which is using a soldering iron. Because that way I feel it's more neater. Now this is a bit over the top, but I just like to neaten the holes up quite like that. It's quick anyway. See, done. I think it's quicker than the nail scissors method, and it's neater. Okay, and now that that's ready, we can actually I'm going to super glue the buttons in this perfectly printed case, not the one with the dodgy corner. So if you're super gluing, do make sure you have something for the super glue to fall on that's not going to damage anything. So I'm going to put it on top of this, because that I'm going to throw away after anyway, and wear the buttons. So a tiny drop of super glue inside this little bevel area, both sides. Very tiny, don't need a lot. Okay, and I'm going to show you how I like to do it. So you could just leave it like that with a super glue, but I like to use the soldering iron to melt them together. Just make sure it's flat before you do what I'm about to do. And it doesn't need to be for long, just to make sure they're flat. And if you do super glue it, maybe wear a mask, because the fumes from the super glue are dangerous. But like I said, I'm just experimenting, because this is PETG with PETG, so PETG buttons might not work as well as the TPU ones, because PETG is much more stiffer. TPU on the other hand flexes, so I'm not sure how this will be. We'll find out in a minute. I might not like this and might go back to the TPU version, but for you guys I thought I'd show you and report back on it. So yeah, that's all that's needed really, just a few seconds. But I think it's going to be too rigid, so I think the TPU version would be more ideal. So you see, the good thing is about the soldering iron method is it's just instant. So now it's already pretty much cured. So we can put the phone case in, and the feel for the buttons. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Yeah. So I do recommend printing the buttons in TPU, because they're not responding correctly. No, I don't feel the press at all. So it's the exact same method for the TPU, which is here. Got the TPU one. But it's just much more flexible, and it's not likely to interfere with the bumper itself. So let's assemble the whole thing together. So you saw me put in the phone with the button side first, the button side, so that the buttons don't actually scrape anything. And then we got the barrier, which is this, which prevents scratches from going onto the front, and you see how nicely that is cut out. I love that. So that's that. I am including the Prusa Slicer project files to see how everything is orientated and where the supports go. I put supports here at 0.3 millimeters gap. I think it's 0.3 millimeters, so it's quite a wide gap, so that the supports don't attach to the plastic, because you need to be removing them, because this layer is very, very thin. But it needs to be there, because if this whole cutout was throughout, then those metal rings, they would fall through into the slot where the card goes. Here, see, the card goes here, and if that was cut out like a whole circle, it would just go into the slot, and just the metal rings will slide out. So yeah, that is needed, and it is quite fragile when you try to remove it. You can see it, like some of it broke off, but it doesn't really interfere with my design. Still works as it should, so that goes on next. See, I've got some of the bolts in there still, so. Oh yeah. Very important. So you see, we've got a line here at the top and the sides, and you need to align this because we've got cutouts here, cutout here and here and on the other side. So we need to align it. So let's push out the bolt slightly so we can align it better. So I like to do it from the top, make sure it's nice and flush. Once it is, you can secure it. See, nice and flush. Keeps focusing on my face, still focusing on my face. Yeah, there we go. And then, so I'm gonna move this one to the new one. So let's do that together. Because it's a bit complicated. It's a bit over the top actually the way I have this done, but it's for a reason. So I'm gonna have the specification of these rings so you can buy them yourself. So you see at the moment I have, is that just the rings? Or might as well break this because there's a magnet in here. But like once it's in there, it's hard to get it out, the magnet. I don't think that's actually the magnet. That's, first of all, I think I've got the ring. Not ring, steel. Yeah, steel ring. Yeah, once it's in there, it's very hard to get it out. So keep that in mind, guys. There we go. Okay, so you see, first of all, I have a magnet in there, and I'm going to keep its orientation. Then, and like I said, I'm going to keep all the dimensions in the description and in the Etsy listing, in my digital files listing. I might put it up on other stores as well. So yeah, that, and that. And all these metal steel rings are to prevent the magnetism from interfering with the S Pen. So yeah, that's that. So let's put them back in and make sure they're aligned. And remember, you're gonna have to change the orientation of the magnet depending on your other systems. Like if you're gonna print out this tripod stand, and now make sure that they align together and the magnet doesn't lose its original location. Okay, so I'm gonna have it like that and then push it in here. Hopefully it goes in. But it's a new one, so maybe the size might be a bit tight for the first time. Because this is a worn one, and this, I don't know if it's over extruded. Hopefully not. So because it needs to fit. There we go. I think that fits now. So once that fits, then you want to fit the final rings. You don't need like 4 rings, you can just have 1 ring that's thicker, but I didn't have it, so I had to compromise. And the way we also got an alignment slot here, so we're gonna have to think about that. But before we do that, I think I'll just place these rings here. They were glued together, but they aren't glued, I think, when I put them in the water or something. There we go. And now, I like to slide it in place because if we don't, these can fall out, so slide. It's a bit over the top, but I think it's worth it. I think it's such a cool case. Bolt it in the way. There we go. Now it's aligned, all the magnets, all the steel pieces. So now let's try to fasten everything together. So the long bolts. I'm just gonna do 2 for now. No. See, we missed something. Good thing that I noticed. Damn it. And yeah, this final ring is going here. And that's just for design, to be honest. So that one isn't super necessary. You can actually print that one out. I include the files for that. Bit of a pain assembling this, but it's worth it. Because once you put the phone case on, it's just going to stay there forever, isn't it, really? Unless you break it. Don't break it, guys. It's better, but then again, it's better to break the case rather than the phone, because the phone costs like, what, 1K? It's an expensive phone. There we go. Bolt in the way, bolt. There we go. Check that everything is aligned. Then put maybe. Now guys, do not tighten this like me. I'm just doing it a little bit, not all the way. Because if you over tighten it with a drill, you can crack things. Do not do that. But I'm quite experienced with this, so I'm not I'm not tightening it all the way. I'm just, what's it called? What's the correct word? Semi-tighten it. Until I feel some resistance. It just speeds things up this way. So like I said, guys, you can try the PETG button, and I'm going to include a smaller one. Actually, I think this is a different iteration of the button that I had, because this TPU one felt a bit slim. So I think I designed these buttons that are glued wider. And I think if you print it wider, the wider version will interfere with the PETG button. So I advise printing the buttons in TPU. But yeah, I had quite a few requests about this phone case already, because people love the S23 design. But I skipped the S24 because, I mean, I just got the S23 at that time. Not just, but it was like a, yeah, I don't want to upgrade the phones too much. But actually ended up dropping my S23 Ultra face first. As in like it landed on something like that. And I mean, the bumper can't protect that, can it? So that happened. I was very sad, but I decided to stick with it as a punishment to myself, to remind myself what I did, so that that doesn't happen again. So I prevailed until I saw the S25 Ultra, and I was like, whoa, that's so much better. Well, not whoa. I mean, it's a very, very similar phone, but I love the flat screen. And actually the border of the S25 Ultra reminds me of the iPhone 3, I think, because iPhone 4. And the iPhone 4 was one of the nicest phone designs that I've seen. So now that we've got the buttons, we can test them. Not the buttons, we've got the phone case assembled. And what I like to do is, when everything's screwed in, I like to do a credit card check. So now I'm gonna tighten it until I feel resistance. And when I feel resistance, back it up a bit. Same here, on all sides. Resistance, back it up a bit. Resistance, back it up. Back it up, too tight. I don't want it too tight, because too tightness with these plastic print, remember this is a plastic print, it will start curving the case. And now once we feel the stiffness and equal tension on each side, we can do a credit card test. So put it in and make sure you can pull it out, because if you can't put it out, that's a problem. And of course, shake test, the credit card doesn't fall out, but it's a bit stiff, look. So this, to remove it, it requires grip. So if you're struggling to remove it, just undo like half a turn, 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 and it comes out easier now. And the final thing is the ring. So yeah, like I said, the buttons, I currently have them designed as in they're equally spaced out. I'm gonna reprint it with them identically spaced. So it's just two buttons, one big one for the volume rocker and one small one for the hold button. So that way you can identify what button does what without having to look at it, without guessing, and you'll just know, like if it's a big one, you'll know it's the volume. If it's a small one, you'll know it's the hold button. So this is gonna get binned now. And one thing to note, obviously this is steel. I recommend you guys use steel, but you're not gonna have that universally available. So you guys are gonna have to improvise. What I will include is I'm gonna include the base as one piece, but the plastic is not gonna be as heavy as the steel. And I recommend this. Like you're gonna have to improvise yourself how you do this. If you do vlogging, like DIY work and filming yourself, which I do all the time for many different reasons. Like you can do this with this. Watch. Oh yeah, so these are butterfly screws. You can have this like that angled, look, and hanging over things, and no problem, it won't fall off, because we have the steel plate. I have two steel plates actually, and it prevents the phone from dropping. It's very heavy duty and I love it. So it's very quick and easy to use for filming DIY projects, reviews, whatever you want to do with it. Now let's move on to the final part of the video. Okay, so we have my bike here, and as I mentioned, got my phone here, and the mounting system is basically this. But it's got two functions actually. So this is a steel mount, however this little adapter goes onto the steel mount via a screw. There, you guys should be able to see that now. You can see that long screw, and I think that's an M3 as well. But yeah, the second function is, let me just show you how it mounts. It's very quick and easy, just like that. It's mounted already, so it's very, very useful. Like when you're cycling about, you can do whatever you need. So as I'm cycling, it's very easy to use it. I can do whatever I want, go into my playlist, my music, change things as I want. And it doesn't fall off because there's a nice, very strong magnet in here and in here. So this is what I mentioned about the orientation of the magnet. They need to match so they don't repel one another. But yeah, this is where it goes in. And the last thing, which is very, very cool, is this mirror. And this is a stainless steel, extremely buffed mirror. So it's not a glass mirror. This is like indestructible, which is amazing. But I'll show you what I use it for. It's actually ingenious what I came up with. So like, I like to cycle about, going to the park and stuff. Sometimes with my girlfriend, sometimes with my cat. Or if I see something interesting going on, I like to record it. Look at that, you can see things. But you have to go in a bit of a zoom. It's flipped, but it freaking works, which is amazing. Why the 5 doesn't work? Because it's probably too low. So we have some of them that work, but the ultra wide obviously is you're gonna be able to see the border, but you can see in the reflection what is ahead of you. Okay, so that blur is coming from because this mirror, it needs to be slightly offset. So at the moment, it's secured with 3M tapes, and we can remove this mirror by rotating it. Maybe use gloves because I secured this super tight. So just rotate it, and eventually it will de-stick the 3M tape. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna offset it a little bit. So you see the beauty of that 3M tape is you can just remove it and rub it off. And so you see it's removed from here and here. So yeah, this is the mount. You can see we've got an angle here, and that is for a perfect angle to be reflecting the camera so they can actually see it whilst it's actually, the camera is down. Which is a very cool way to record actually while you're riding without actually having to remove the phone. So what I'm going to do now is to make sure that everything works perfectly and we've got the orientation correct. Let's test it. Before we actually apply the tape, let's see how it's gonna work, how it's gonna look. Look at this here, and align it until it's better. So you see, like maybe on the edges, because we were right on the edge before. If we have a look here, like we were right on the edge before. I don't want that. I want it to be right in the center of the cameras. Maybe not center because I like some symmetry, but like I said, on the corners, on the outline of this steel mirror, it might be some vignetting almost. So let's check. So this is as close we can get, and then we're gonna slightly offset it. So now you can see there's gonna be no misfocusing. Here we've got the 3M tape glued on here. Actually, I'm just gonna align it whilst it's actually mounted. Like I said, slightly offset. And now it's perfectly in focus. On 1, 2, and 3 cameras, 5 and 10 is below, so that's not going to work. But now we can actually push it, now that we've got it aligned perfectly. It is offset slightly, but it's fixed, it's focused perfectly now, so, which is much more important in my opinion than symmetry. But yeah, this is just a fun little add-on for anyone that likes filming, vlogging, and documenting. So yeah guys, thanks for watching this super over-the-top video of a super over-the-top phone case, and I hope you enjoy it. If you like it guys, it will be up on my Etsy, links will be in the description, so do check it out. If you think I could improve on the design with some ideas that you have that I may not come thought of, please leave me a comment. I do like to improve upon this design because I love it, and if there's some other tricks that you guys have for me, please let me know. So leave a comment, like it if you like it, dislike it if you don't like it, if you think it's over the top and stupid, fair enough, just dislike it. But if you guys want to see more 3D designs, DIY work, weapons, swords, cosplay, maybe guitar one day again, do subscribe and you will see me more on this channel. I try to post every 2 days or so, even if it's weird or short stuff, whatever. Take care guys, thanks for watching, peace.